Salutations, everybody. It is Matty here today. I have fought. I have kicked and screamed. I have battled back. But ladies and gentlemen, it has not been enough. Realization is setting in. Between the games I'm interested in, the companies I've talked about for many, many years, the games and topics that you, the audience, are interested in, and of course, Xbox, are all beginning to overlap. So we're going to continue to meld Xbox conversations into this channel because it just makes sense going forward with the likes of Bethesda and how that would connect to Xbox. Plus, I already run Defining Duke with Carrick of ACG, so it makes sense to just keep that up over time. But this is, I would like to emphasize, a RPG channel first and foremost. I see a lot of console creators out there getting a weird ego attached to a particular brand. I'm not interested in that whatsoever. I will celebrate games when they do well, like PlayStation signing up with Jade Raymond. Finally, she should be able to get a game out the door. That'd be excellent, as well as getting a PS Vita or celebrating Xbox Game Pass. We like gaming here. We're creating a great community. I want to keep that up, but just know for the future, we will continue to meld Xbox conversations into the channel because it's relevant to my interests, which leads to passion, and it seems to be relevant to yours. So let me know what you think of that down below. But with that, you're here for a couple of things, right? Bethesda making some very big moves from Starfield rumors. Oh my God, here we go again. A potential summer reveal like I have been suggesting for some time, as well as some other people out there. We're going to get into that. On top of that, we have expansions for Bethesda as a whole, seeing the impact already of Microsoft acquiring them. So this is just the beginning. We got a lot to go over in this video. If you're new here, you like the following things: Bethesda, you like Xbox, you like RPGs, you are in the right place. I am your guy, and I would be honored if you would join us. Like I said, we're creating a very warm community that simply understands that console fanboyism and console wars, that shit sucks. Like, just get it out of here. But with that, I know you want us to talk about the Starfield rumors and add my own input, any information I have acquired over time since the last time we talked about Starfield. So we're going to go through a video from none other than Jeff Grubb, of course, from GamesBeat on his podcast, where he was talking about the percentage, the likelihood of Starfield appearing at E3. So with that, let's roll the clip and I'll add my own thoughts afterwards.
Something about Starfield, chat. No, there's nothing on Starfield. We got nothing to say about Starfield.
Oh, you know what? No, I did have something to say about Starfield. You know what? I did. Yeah, sorry about that. I totally just spaced on that. Starfield, I am. So it's not like something that would go on the Games Mess list for sure. But I'm pretty confident it's going to be at E3. Like that's like. So someone asked like last week. Oh, hey, right after the show, what about Starfield? I'm like, well, I'll save that for the podcast. So I meant to do that here.
Hey, Mike, Starfield at E3 for sure. Don't tell anyone. And I wasn't going to, but you two are already out here like just dropping bombs.
I'll just say that, yeah, I'm in the 85 to 90% range for that now, and
well, I'll be sure to get mad at you later when it doesn't show up.
Yes, definitely, and I think it's going to be like the big deal for Bethesda at their showcase. I think it's going to be a big deal.
I mean, it makes sense, right? It has to be time to see something substantial about this game by now,
right? And so like, does that mean it's like the Fallout 4 release schedule where like they interested E3 and will release it later this year? I think that's possible. I'm less sure about that, but I think that's a distinct possibility. So
now, before I do toss in my own thoughts, Jeff Grubb did say, can we not make it sound so certain? I gave a percentage, which was 85 to 90%. Here's a better headline. Microsoft and Bethesda want to unveil Starfield this year, but people want lots of things. Now, one thing that I have started to see surface, and I think is entirely fair to bring up, is that Jeff did mention in this tweet here that Starfield is, quote, still years away. And it's not like Bethesda Game Studios. We've seen them since Fallout 4. It's not like them to reveal stuff years ahead of time. And if it's years away, could that have just been 2022 he was talking about? Who knows at this point in time with the pandemic and everything. It's very easy to make a claim and then, you know, suddenly the rug gets pulled out from under you. I've been advocating for a very long time that Starfield was supposed to come out last year. They gave it a lot more time because of the pandemic, and now with the Bethesda acquisition by Xbox, they want to release it in the fall for their 1-2 punch. I've been saying this for a very long time. So what Jeff says comes as no surprise. If you've been watching this channel, and I'm not saying it like, oh yeah, if you've been watching me, I've been saying, but I'm just saying, if you've been paying attention, to not repeat myself, I have been saying this. I have been saying they want it out this year. There is a difference between wanting to unveil it and when it will release, however. That's the conversation here. That's the nuance that I think is missing when people are posting these headlines. Because of Bethesda Game Studios' habits, we're seeing a lot of people expect, hey, Starfield's coming out this fall, which is absolutely, by the way, what I've been told Bethesda does want. That is something that they are going for. That's something that Xbox wants, because Xbox has had enough falls where they're doing just one big game, right? A Gears 5 fall, a Halo Infinite fall. There is a sense of familiarity there. Nothing would be a bigger 1-2 punch to cap off the year to say, hey, we did all of this and then some, than Xbox saying at the end of the year, you can get Halo Infinite and you can get Starfield. That is something that would be major because it's a brand new IP. A lot of people can make the same argument that, hey, well, Halo Infinite can hold its own by itself in the fall. There's a lot of anticipation for it, and I would agree, but there's nothing more exciting than a new idea. And potentially that could lead to Starfield coming out in the beginning of 2022, a first spring release for Bethesda Game Studios, since honestly, it would have been Oblivion. So that would be pretty interesting to see. But point being is the intention is to at least unveil Starfield in some way, shape, or form this summer. So get ready for that. That is something that is pretty close to locked in at this point in time. And I would say you can expect it unless something goes horribly wrong or something starts to get really finicky with development, which I imagine Bethesda Game Studios and a lot of companies have adjusted by this point in time. That doesn't mean that the pandemic hasn't impacted them, but I imagine an adjustment has been made where I don't know if it will stagger the development so much that they will not be able to show us more on Starfield. I think the time is ready for us to learn more about at least what this game is. And here's the other thing. Starfield is a new IP, so I think Bethesda will be a little bit more loose with its reveal. Even if it's not ready for the fall and they do need to delay Starfield, I think this is, number one, good news, because if they delayed it, a lot more people would actually be hyped for the game, because they'd say, hey, Bethesda Game Studios actually may release a game with very minimal bugs. But number two is that, of course, this is a new IP. You need to market it more. So yeah, having Starfield getting a little bit more time to market itself would never be a bad thing. But we do know for a fact Xbox wants to hit this holiday period hard. We've seen it many times in the past where they have tried to push something. Hey, just recently, they were trying to push Halo Infinite out with the Series X launch. They were trying to force it, and guess how much more time that game needed? 1 more whole year. That's a huge underestimation by Xbox. So just keep all of that in mind. So yeah, what Jeff is saying is kind of what I've been reporting for a while, is that it's a pretty safe expectation in a number of ways that Starfield will be at least talked about this summer. And I would pretty much say, yeah, you're gonna see it. We've already seen leaks. The game's been in development since 2016, in full development, mind you, not just pre-production, but full on development since Fallout 4's DLC ended in August 2016. So the time is coming. It's been in development for a super long time. Like I said, it was supposed to be really 2020. They've had plenty of time, and so they'll have something ready to show. But I just wanted to offer my own input. Other than that, no extra updates from sources other than kind of just reiterating what Jeff said here. But let's talk a little bit about Bethesda expanding. Yeah, so Bethesda is getting bigger immediately. So if you head over to the ZeniMax jobs page right now, they have a jobs opportunity section where we can see 200 plus job results, which is huge because Bethesda, when they were acquired by Xbox all the way back in September, they were at 2,300 employees. They immediately got acquired, and now they are expanding by 200. That is gigantic across all of those studios, and it's very good because we're seeing layoffs at like Activision Blizzard and whatnot, so it's good that there are openings for people to maybe land on their feet. That's at least what we can hope for. But the good news about all of this expansion here is that perhaps I would say more QA would be very appreciated. I used to originally, when I covered only Bethesda on this channel, get excited about expansion because it meant a quicker turnout in my head. It meant, hey, we got more people, so that means the game's going to come quicker. But a lot of these game developers operate on the mindset of, hey, what if we had, instead of 100 people, 200 people, and we took the same amount of time to make a game? So Bethesda Game Studios, 3 to 4 years. Instead of saying, let's get now 2,000 people and get a game out every year, how about we get 2,000 people and then work on this game for 3 to 4 years and maximize it all? So that's the mindset. Do note these expansions do not mean suddenly games are going to pour out a lot quicker. I will say there is a chance you'll see more games with the Bethesda Game Studios brand on them because they have so many support studios now. They got a total of 4. We don't know if Montreal is working on their own project of some kind. We have no idea if one of the other support studios like Austin is working on something outside of Fallout 76, but they all have their own little all their own little projects. We've seen Montreal tinker with Skyrim Special Edition. We saw them do help with Fallout Shelter. So I would imagine that eventually they will get their own project at some point in time. I can't imagine why they wouldn't, because that was the first studio that opened after Bethesda Game Studios Maryland, and that was pretty significant. And for them to do Skyrim Special Edition, and they did a good job with it, it would be awesome to see them do like a Fallout 3 remaster or a Fallout 3 New Vegas package or something like that. That would be really, really cool. But anyway, yes, jobs are appearing for Bethesda. That's great news. But also there's some changes internally that I'd like to highlight because it's connected to some of the overreaching I think we saw Bethesda doing with Fallout 76 and Wolfenstein Youngblood. So a headline from GameSpot reads, ZeniMax board of directors dissolved after Xbox's Bethesda purchase, which it says that Pete Hines, the senior vice president of global marketing and communication at Bethesda, told GameSpot in an email, quote, the prior ZeniMax media board of directors has been dissolved, end quote. Hines previously spoke to GameSpot about the importance of the media and entertainment background of ZeniMax's board of directors. He said Bethesda had been approached many times over the years to make Fallout and Elder Scrolls movies, but the company rejected every proposal, thanks in part to the advice of its board members like Bruckheimer, Mooms, Dell, and Sloan. So yeah, I mean, obviously something changed because they're now doing a Fallout TV show and everyone's seeing the success of The Witcher on Netflix, which is its own discussion to have. But the board of directors being dissolved, I think, is pretty significant to have a conversation about, because there were a lot of reports coming out, and most of them speculative, I should emphasize, that the reason we were seeing major reaches by Bethesda with, say, something like Fallout 76, where you were getting Fallout first, you were getting the Atomic Shop, and then you had Wolfenstein Youngblood with gold bars in it, and there was Commander Keen. There were just these really weird, borderline off-brand moves, you would say, coming from Bethesda. And so there were two theories. One was that they were trying to get all of this money through live service games, through microtransactions to inflate their value to then sell, which they did do, but we don't know if that's exactly why they did it. The other idea was that there was pressure from the board of directors because you had a lot of games underperforming, like Prey, like Dishonored 2, like The Evil Within 2, Doom Eternal we saw did all right. But a lot of games underperformed. So I think there was this external pressure to either sell or do something within the games, make them live service. So you had Elder Scrolls Online that's been making a killing. Now you have Fallout 76, which I think is doing pretty well for Bethesda. So you've got two solid cash cows there, but it definitely came at a pretty big cost. And it definitely was, from the reports we've seen, and I think you could safely speculate, from pressure from above. Now that they're owned by Microsoft, that board of directors has dissolved, and they walked away perfectly fine. They got enough money to retire $7.5 billion. They're fine. They got a lot of cash, all right? But here's the thing with Microsoft is a lot of people have assumed, hey, now that Xbox will own Bethesda, we're going to see less microtransactions, right? And I don't think that's a guarantee, because Game Pass exists. And while Game Pass is fantastic, take a look at Gears 5, take a look at Halo 5, take a look at pretty much Halo Wars 2. There's so many games that come out on Xbox, Microsoft Flight Simulator even, that have some type of built-in game store. And with Fallout 4, you have the Creation Club. Skyrim Special Edition, you have the Creation Club. So what happens is there's got to be a way for companies to benefit from more players just stepping into their game outside of a player count and increase in potential sales. And so those built-in stores within games are what drives it. So some people think that, hey, because Xbox owns Bethesda, suddenly something like the Creation Club is going to go away. That's not what's going to happen. I imagine, and I don't know this for sure, but I imagine Starfield would, for example, have its own Creation Club. I would not be surprised in the slightest if Bethesda made sure that was a day one thing to, I put this in quotes, continue their support of modders, but also because that is the way that they will earn money over time through this game versus the DLC that they always do with all of their Bethesda Game Studios games. So I just thought that this conversation on the board of directors was important to have, because while one side was putting pressure, I do think that nothing's going to really change, just there may be less pressure and more like, hey, you're on Game Pass, why not capitalize on that player count? But that is my own speculation tossed in there. Just point being is the only thing laid in fact here is that the board of directors is gone, and it does seem like there was applied pressure over time. But anyway, that's everything we really have for today's video. All of Bethesda's recent big moves, from Starfield Reveal in the summer to these expansions of studios, and of course we have the board of directors being dissolved. So let me know what you think of this entire roundup, as well as more Xbox conversations being melded into the channel. I'd love to get your thoughts before we fully commit to another type of content being added to what we already do here. So let me know, and with that, I will talk with all of you very soon. Be sure to follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram. Those links are in the description down below. Big thank you to all the patrons, all the members who continue to support the hell out of the channel here. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.